Are you ready to take bold action and live a life of brilliance? Welcome to the Bold and Brilliant podcast, where women leaders share inspiring stories about daring decisions that shape their businesses, their lives, and their careers. Today, I'm with the fabulous and amazing Stephanie Flanders-Martin. Stephanie brings a unique blend of wellness expertise and entrepreneurial spirit to boutique adventures. With 9 years in the wellness industry, 6 years as a networking professional, following an impressive 32-year career in the restaurant business, Stephanie co-owns the Tree of Life Yoga Studio and is a 500-hour certified yoga medicine therapeutic specialist working toward her 1,000-hour certification. Stephanie and her husband Marcus created Boutique Adventures by the Martins, a travel agency dedicated to curating personalized, custom-crafted travel and retreats. Whether crafting luxurious retreats, cultural excursions, or off-the-beaten-path journeys, Stephanie and Marcus combine their passions for travel, community, adventure, connection, and exploration to offer clients truly unforgettable travel experiences. As we talk, you'll hear Stephanie share her journey of entrepreneurship, including one bold decision that has created her path of what was next. Her story of resilience, risk-taking, and transformation will inspire, encourage, and support your personal and professional growth. Please join me in welcoming Stephanie to the Bold and Brilliant podcast. Stephanie, welcome to the podcast. I'm so excited that you're here. We have so much to talk about.
Thank you, Tracy. I'm really excited to be here.
Yay! Okay, well, so as we were talking before we got started, I know a lot about what you do now. We've been kind of, as soon as we got connected, we've been tightly connected, talking about all of the different areas that you work, significantly different and yet kind of all related types of work. But I don't know a lot about how you got here. So let's go back, a little origin story journey, and tell everyone, our listeners here on the podcast, like, where did you start? What did you start with? And how did you decide to start doing the things that you're doing now?
Yeah, it's a long meandering story. I'll make it semi-short, but I started in the restaurant business after college. I have my degree in home economics nutrition is my focus. Okay. And really wanted to get into that field, but got out of college and couldn't find anything. I lived in LA at the time and kind of got to this mode of, holy cow, I've got to make money. Like, here we go, right? So started looking for jobs, started in the restaurant business as an assistant manager.
Okay.
Working in the quick casual restaurant business. And then I just fell in love with it. So I grew my career from assistant manager to manager. I worked in research and development for a while, and then we moved to Portland, got a great opportunity to start managing multiple restaurants. And so I managed 6 McDonald's and about $12 million in business. Loved it, loved the people, had fun, but wanted to make a new change once I got my master's in human resources.
Okay, I'm going to pause you because I want to know, what was it about the restaurant business that you loved that took you, like, leaving college with nutrition to managing the restaurants instead? And the research part maybe is interesting too, because was it research for like that restaurant to make them successful, or about the industry in general? Tell us just a little bit more about what about it that you really enjoyed, because I want to see how it's going to start relating to what I know you do now. So just a little bit more about what was fun about it.
Yeah, I'm a people person. So standing at the counter, talking to customers and walking around and talking to customers, it brings me joy. I'm such a people person, and connecting is a huge part of my personality. I love that. In the research and development, I actually worked in a research and development store where they would throw different research projects at me for those.
Like trying out new.
Yeah. So trying new food, trying new wraps, trying new, different types of things. Okay. And again, that gave me an opportunity to connect with clients out in the lobby. It's, what did you think? How did you like it? Oh, I didn't like it. Oh, okay. great feedback, I'll share that. Or
Yeah.
we loved it, share, we want more. So it was really fun. And then transitioning up to my multi-unit restaurant management, what I loved about that was, again, continuing to connect, because as I'd walk in the stores, I'd talk to people.
And a bunch
Then,
of different stores now.
right. So now I have 6 stores, but I really started enjoying the management part of it, growing the people, training my leaders, and just, again, an opportunity to stay connected with, in general people, but now on a different level.
Mm-hmm.
My career made a shift when I finished my master's and really wanted to swing into the HR part, because again, the people part is what really was my passion. But there was no opportunities where I was at. So I joined Papa Murphy's International and started overseeing franchise owners. So
Okay.
again,
Yeah.
customer service, but at a
Uh-huh.
different level, and then really helping them grow their businesses, continuing to kind of take the skill sets I'd learned, but grow their businesses.
I want to interrupt again. I love that, the stores where you were overseeing, them, the management is, like you said, the one level, but the franchise owners, like they're not just managing a store, they're creating a business for themselves.
Correct.
So supporting them as a business owner as opposed to a store manager is a very different and, like you said, next level kind of relationship. And yeah, this is all making a lot of sense to me now. So
Yeah. Tying it all together for you.
yeah.
What I loved about working with franchise owners was I got to see it from their eyes, because I had been heavily immersed in the company side, now seeing it from a franchise side, and trying to meld those two worlds together was a new challenge for me. One of my passions, again, was training and development and helping people. An opportunity came open to become the director of training for Papa Murphy's. So I moved into that role. And as I continued to work with franchise owners, and they had a very small group of company stores at the time, but working with the franchise owners, I just became more passionate about the business side of it. And then got the opportunity to start managing multiple departments and grew myself from, director to VP very quickly. And I just loved it. I had so much fun. I loved the people. I loved managing departments. I loved the different things that I got to do every day. For me, I love change in the sense of that every day is not exactly the same, but I do love some routine. So I'd come in and have my routine, but then get some kind of new challenge or opportunity.
Yeah.
So I was on that career path and then went through some personal change and challenge and got an opportunity to do a similar type role with a new company in Colorado. So made the switch and the move to Colorado with some startup companies. And I did that with two different companies, and then moved to a third company and was downsized, right-sized, a couple times with small companies. That just becomes the challenge.
Yep.
And the third time I just said, at that time I was opening restaurants internationally. So I was working in the Middle East, opening restaurants there, looking at new concepts in India and Italy, and loving what I was doing, but the company got sold. And I just said, I think I'm at a point in my life where I don't want to continue to make these shifts and changes, like relearning with concepts, because the basics are the same, but it's the new concept that you have to learn. Okay, now I have to learn sandwiches. Okay, now I have to learn pizza. Okay, now I have to learn, right? So I just decided at that time to become an entrepreneur. I've learned a lot from these business owners. I've grown a lot personally. So I went back to what I knew best, which is health and wellness, and just the coaching part of health and wellness with my nutritional background. And through that journey, I'll take one quick sidestep and then come back.
Okay.
I have practiced yoga since I was 29. It was my escape as my kids were little, to go to some quiet place and have a little stillness for myself for 1 hour, just a little zen.
Yes.
And fast forward back to where I was at with my health and wellness, one thing I kept seeing was this need for people to de-stress. People were so stressed out, and that was causing a lot of the health and wellness issues. So I had gone to a workshop and talked to one of the workshop facilitators and said, man, I've practiced yoga for, 20 some years, and I love the practice. I've always thought it'd be kind of intriguing to be a teacher, but I think I'm past that. And she looked me in the eye and she said, no, you're not. And guess what? People need you. People want to see somebody that looks like them and practice with somebody that's like you. So at age 50, here I go, right? 51, I guess it was 51. I went back and became a certified yoga teacher. And that's really where a lot of shift happened within me. I started growing my yoga, because I, of course, started as a yoga teacher. I've got to open a studio, right? That's my brilliant idea.
Well, so yeah, so you were starting to talk about, okay, I'm going to become an entrepreneur, but then you sidestepped to becoming a yoga teacher. Had you started something entrepreneurial before you got your yoga teacher training?
Yeah, so I was a health and wellness
So
coach.
you were
So I just
coaching.
started
Okay.
coaching. Yeah.
Okay. So
And
you were
then
coaching,
what I
but
did,
you had worked in these company-based and store-based environments for so long, but here you were working kind of on your own.
right.
And yeah, I would imagine, and because I've been through that, that the draw to have a place to do your work
Yeah.
after having a place to go to work, there's
Yeah.
something there. You know, I still have it even after opening gather and closing gathers. I'm always looking at places. We talked about this when we were in San
Yeah.
Francisco. It's like, oh, look at that place. I can have a place. You know,
Yeah.
there's always something about having a place
Yeah.
that even for entrepreneurs, there's a draw. I think if you've been in that kind of corporate company-based employee environment.
Yeah. And I'll tie this together with something that is really the whole purpose of having a yoga studio was community for me. I love being in community. I love being with people. And it allowed me the opportunity to start taking my health and wellness coaching business and add another component, which was my yoga,
Yeah.
teaching yoga.
Yeah.
And then add on to that, my first year as a yoga teacher, I'm like, let's do a retreat. Okay, here we go.
Well, because yoga retreats are a thing.
Yeah.
And after all of your work internationally with the restaurant business, as soon as you said, oh, I was in the Middle East, I was like, well, there's the travel part, and the retreat part of it started then, right? When you got a chance to see other parts of the world. Keep going. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, so one of the things, so where's our first retreat? Thailand, which is where we had done a scouting for a new restaurant. And I had stayed at this amazing retreat center. And I'm like, ooh, let's take a group there. So we did. We launched our first, okay, here we go. We're going to do a retreat. First year in business as a yoga studio. And we took 11 yogis, 11 of us, I think, or 11 or 12 of us, we took to Thailand. And it was so much fun. We proceeded to host wine and yoga retreats in Oregon at a bed and breakfast. And we sold that out. We added another week or another weekend. So we sold that out. And so retreats quickly became the part that I really enjoyed the most, even though I love the teaching. I love all of the things. I slowly did less of the health coaching and really focused on yoga retreats, yoga workshops, yoga, everything yoga. And that's really where that passion for hosting retreats came from, was the excitement of going somewhere and traveling the world, which I had been working internationally. And yet that community, which I craved and thrived on. Fast forward to 2020, we all know what happened. We were planning to take a group to Greece in 2 months and COVID. So we took, we just paused our retreat. The cruise line that we were taking them on was amazing to work with, and worked our way through COVID, pivoted to online yoga, just kept our community online. And slowly, the story, you've lived this story, but slowly we just decided to let our lease go. We had just re-upped our lease, but we let our lease go because we didn't know what was going to happen, number one. Number two, our main community that we talked to was middle-aged and older women. And the thought and fear for us was, I don't want to give anybody this disease. I don't know how to keep them safe. Doing yoga in a mask is not fun. And we just decided to stay online. So we pivoted to online, but kept the retreat component. So we went to Greece 2021 and then started relaunching our local retreats. Just kept doing 2 a year. We do 2 of those. We do 1 international. And then just continued to make this pivot to, retreats internationally. We would do 1 a year, and then we would do 2 or 3, sometimes 4 stateside. So that's really where I decided to become a travel agent and keep my yoga business and make that connection of the two. I was already doing all the planning, I was already doing the organizing, but as a travel agent, I now have the booking systems. I now have the inside scoop to make things much more smooth and easy and connected. That's kind of where that all led to.
Yeah, well, that all makes so much sense. And I think that that's a lot of people who get into travel because they like to travel. These days, especially back in the olden days when you had to have specialized equipment and hard ticketing and all of those things, that was a whole different planet.
Yeah.
When I was in corporate, I remember having to deal with the travel office and all the
Yeah.
specialization that took and everything. But these days, a lot of people that I talk to, especially in networking, it's like, yeah, I'm a travel agent. I started doing it because I was going here and I decided to help other people go here or whatever.
Yeah.
So that totally makes sense. And yeah, we've talked about the letting the studio go, and it only, for so many of us who had small boutique kind of businesses,
Mhm.
I don't know a lot that made it all the way through and kept their existing model just because there was that whole unknown factor. And, maybe it's because we're older and we're just like, life doesn't have to be this hard. We can do
Yeah.
something differently because we've already reinvented things before,
Yeah.
right? So we'll just do
Yeah.
it again.
Well, and I would say the side benefits, a couple of things I learned very quickly when we made this pivot. So it was 30 minutes to my studio. I
Mm-hmm.
always wanted to be there 20 minutes ahead. So
Sure.
let's just tack on an hour before a class.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I would have two classes in a row, but often it would just be one class, just based on the need of the clients.
Mm-hmm.
So I was spending, let's call it 2 hours a
And you're
day.
kind of cleaning up afterwards and getting back
Right.
home.
And nobody ever just left, right? Everybody wants to gab and do the blah, 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 like Katarina
Yep.
would say. So, it became this extra 2 hours, which I loved when I was there. But I quickly realized I literally have my commute to the basement or my commute to my new studio
Yep.
is 3 minutes. Like,
Yep.
walk down, open my laptop, start. That's
Yeah.
as simple as it got. So I think what I realized too with that pivot and why I have stayed virtually is I got back hours in the week. Now, I will also say, and you and I have talked about this personally, every time I drive by an empty space, I go, oh, that would be such a great yoga studio. It would be great. It would be fabulous. And I miss teaching in person, but I do get to teach in person at my retreats. So that's
Right.
where I get to fill that cup in that way and just continue to nurture my online clients and build, that way.
And bring them together in
Yeah.
retreats. I think the whole, ooh, it's a space, would that space be great, also comes for me, it's from being in corporate facilities. For you, you were opening restaurants, right? So you
Yeah.
were always looking at a new space to maybe
Yep.
open a restaurant in the same way that I was moving companies into new
Yeah.
spaces too. So we have
Yeah.
that other previous draw
Yeah.
towards what it's all about potential,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Imagine what that could be like because we have this visionary situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so we've already kind of touched on your big, bold decision that you made to become a yoga teacher. And what I love, but I see that as literally just a step on the path for you because you were already practicing next, and I've considered in the past being a Pilates teacher too, for the same reason. I'm going to class 3-4 times a week. Clearly I enjoy it. I'm good at it. People like ask me questions, you have all of this kind of potential and people used to always assume that I was in teacher training and I wasn't. And I knew since I was opening gather that I wasn't going to, but the, the, it's a very natural progression because you're already doing the hours. You just now have more pointed kind of education about it. But to take from becoming a yoga teacher to doing a retreat, like, well, I guess it's like a party, but but you're just a party planner.
Yeah.
And then going, and so it's all been a very natural, like add-on kind of
Yeah.
process, it seems, which I love.
Yeah. And what it's ended up for me, Tracie, what's kind of unfolded is the bonus of how much I love retreats, now helping people plan retreats, helping
Yeah.
people understand how they can enjoy retreats and help them with just the behind the scenes, right? I'll do the bookings, I'll help with this, I'll help with that. And then you go enjoy your retreat. You get to not worry about that busyness of what, all the booking system is and all that kind of stuff. I'll do that for you. Go have fun, be merry, take your, have a good time.
Yeah.
So I think that I've been able to meld the two and continue to do what makes my body feel good as I've aged, which is yoga, to
Mhm.
continue to teach what I love. And melding the two worlds is kind of the two core values that I have and have always had, but just kind of maybe focused more on them as I've aged, is adventure and community.
Yeah. And the health piece too. So like you
Right.
said, keep your body healthy by doing the things that it responds to, but
Yeah.
clearly you started off with health being the first thing.
Yeah.
It's just and I what it sounds like is it ends up being like this underlying current, because the mental health aspect and the adventure, to me, adventure is part of health.
Yeah.
If I'm not adventuring or planning an adventure,
Yeah.
then I'm depressed. Like,
Yeah.
it's not, there's a joy that comes from that, and health can come from having that joyful disposition. So having that undercurrent of health is like still there, even though it manifests in community. And
Yeah. Well, and I think that's why I had such a hard time with COVID, was feeling like I was in jail when I love traveling, when I love getting
Mhm.
out and being in community. It was so hard for
Yeah.
me. Connecting in other ways became the challenge, right? Like, how can I continue to be online more? How can I, thrive in a community online, which has now been the side benefit of getting to meet so many more people throughout the country and, the world, I would say. You can thrive in different ways in community, whether it be through the Gather community or, all different kinds of ways to plug in. That's
Yeah.
been the side benefit, because as I've done all these changes, we then, had some personal changes and moved back to Oregon, where I had to start over at, age
Yep.
58, trying to meet people again. It's a whole different ballgame. So discovering community in different ways has been such an adventure in itself.
Yeah. I love that. And you're right. You can just, we don't, it's not a conscious thing to shift from in person to online. We did it, but because we had to do it, but it was not anything we ever would have chosen. But, what I realized several months post start of lockdown was that the whole point of having the in-person space was not to have a room to rent, which was the
Right.
business.
Yeah.
But the point was to bring people together, was to build community.
Right.
And like, I always tell people, I'm like, I wanted to have friends. So that's why I built a place where I could bring friends and
Yeah.
find friends. And so realizing that by shifting that online, it's just a different way of building community, and that
Yeah.
was always the point.
Yeah.
In community. And so whether for you with retreats, with teaching yoga, with not only hosting your own retreats, but helping other people build their community and being kind of a part of that, whether you participate in the retreat or just there to help create that community.
Mhm.
And then, you have a whole other arm of your business that we can't talk about all of that this time today, which is also building more communities so that
Yeah.
people have that capacity. It's so like I always talk about the ripples in the pond factor, and how everyone's pebble that goes into the pond is different size. And so your ripples are different sizes, and some are big and some are small. But you literally have a handful of pebbles. You're not just a pebble, you're like 5 pebbles, because of all of the different ways that you build community and show up in the world. And I think that's a superpower. So that's amazing.
Yeah, and the common theme through everything, right, is people.
Yep.
It's how I started my career. It's how I built my career, my businesses, is people. And that, whether it's one business or the other business, they all interconnect in one common theme. It's community and people.
Yeah.
It's my
Yeah.
need for that. One of the things I did discover, which was really interesting about myself as we went through COVID mostly, is that I really am an ambivert. I unplug and do great at recharging, like having that personal space. But I do get charged up when I'm with people. Like I feel so nourished and comforted in mostly smaller communities. I feel like I do better in kind of that 15 to 20, 25, because I can know everybody, because I can then connect with everybody and know, not have this unknown of these big groups. But I love it so much, the community and the adventure and the people.
Yep. Well, that's why we've become fast friends ever since we met, because we are like this in all of those categories for sure. Stephanie, you're helping me. We're connected in all these other events and everything that we have going on. And this, of course, being a podcast, it's the kind of evergreen kind of thing. But given that we're here in the middle, starting the summer of 2025, what do you see? I know you have specific trips planned for retreats, whether they're yoga retreats or other types of things. I'm really thrilled and excited to be going with you to France at the end of 2026. So, by the time that happens, lots of people will have heard this episode. It'll have been out for over a year. So we can talk about that one. But what's your dream trip that you want to bring people on that you haven't done yet?
Well, I have this, in fact, I think Katarina and I might have been talking about it, but one of my bucket list trips is to take a group from one side of Canada to the other side.
Yeah, we keep talking about that because I want to do that.
On the train. I know, we need to take a group on the train. So I've already started the process. I actually reached out, you know me, I'm always planning. I already started the process of just gathering the information. It's called a Trans-Canadian tour, and I think it's 7 or 8 days. So one side to the other side. And then I think you fly home. I know you don't go back.
Right. But I'm sure. Yeah.
It looks amazing. And so I've already started this kind of noodling. What could this look like and who would like to go with? And, it's the challenge with rail. It's not like when you do a land tour where you can, or even a river cruise or cruise where you can book it and then slowly kind of noodle people. When you do rail, you need to either make payments and book a big block. That's what I'm discovering, or have the set amount of people that are ready to go, and then we all book together. So that's where the little nuances of okay, we want to go. Who wants to go with me? Do we have 15 people or 20 people that want to go that we could book now, kind of thing, for a 2027? Because one of the things I really pride myself on is booking at least 18 months to 2 years out. Yeah. So that people can really plan. Yeah. And not feel like, I can't afford that. Sure, you can. You make a deposit and then just make, small payments. And by the time you go, that trip is paid off and you get to enjoy the adventure.
Yep. Yeah. Well, I can't wait for that to come to fruition. And you're right. Doing what Katarina would call the pre-publication. We're going to do this. This is what I'm looking at. And I need people to start anyway, that would be really exciting. And then of course, people get a lot of the inside scoop, right? In our group text, someone starts talking about the Orient Express and we're all excited again. So,
I know.
Lots of adventures to come.
I'm dripping on that one too. And one of my other bucket list I love the rail. It's really fun to do rail. Scotland. There's a rail going across Scotland that I really want to take a group on too.
As long as they have heaters, I would love to see Scotland from behind a window.
Yeah, exactly. Or right in July when it's the warmest.
Yeah, in that one window. My friend, we could keep talking about potential adventure for hours, but we're going to have to just do a new episode sometime in the future where we talk about what already happened and what's on the deck going forward. So I just want to thank you. Thank you for all of that story. I literally didn't know any of that beginning stuff. And I think what I want our listeners to recognize is that no matter where you are, if you go with the things that really light you up, you're going to end up somewhere amazing. And recognizing that just hold on to those things and let the rest kind of, just evolve, because it's only going to be amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love it. Stephanie, thank you so much for being on the podcast, and we will talk again super soon.
Yeah. Thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you for listening to the Bold and Brilliant podcast. I'm your host, Tracie Root, and I want to invite you to check out the show notes, find out where you can connect with our guests, find out more about what I and the Gather community have to offer you. And be sure to subscribe to this podcast on your favorite platform. Thanks so much.